I was so passionate about trying to get you on the podcast here with Kurt, because what you just described with your customers is exactly the way you are as a founder with other founders as well, in my experience with you. And that's one thing that I've always just been just so impressed with. You've always been very approachable to myself and to anybody that I've ever recommended you to. Nobody has ever come back and said, Clarence didn't return my message on LinkedIn or my email. You're always getting back to people. If you're out in the community and somebody has a question for you, you're always willing to have a conversation with them. The way that you run your business, it's very clear that you're being your authentic self right now. And I think that that's very commendable. I don't think that that's something that you typically see in the founder community. I think we should see more of that, because one of the things we were talking about before the show is that, as founders, we want to make sure that everybody around us is successful. At least that should be our focus, because someone else next to you being successful does not mean you're not going to be successful. It means the opposite, right? If you can be successful, you're probably going to return the favor and ensure that I can be successful.
Well, I think that's an insecurity that happens, though, with founders, is because I've heard people say same thing you said, Clarence, where I'm going to hire all the smartest people and they're going to tell me what to do. And then there's this insecurity that creeps in that, like, well, maybe they do know more than I do. And now I have to kind of protect myself. And sometimes I'll just say no because I need to remind you that I'm in charge. And I've seen that happen before, and it's kind of gross. I don't know how to fix that in other leaders other than for them to work with to get mentorship from places like a Techstars or a something that can help them maybe pull their heads out of their ass a little bit, right?
Oh, yeah. I mean, so one of the great things about Techstars, I still remember the conversation with Ryan Brochure. Like, it was very much about, like, man, like, you have all these great qualities, and like the last step of you fulfilling your greatness as Clarence is you have to be okay with people around you being way smarter, like knowing what they know. Like you have to be comfortable with it, because as a founder, insecurity creeps in, right? And it's like, to your point, I think every founder's dealt with that. Like, whoa, if I bring him on, like he's going to be the smartest person in the room.
Yeah, he's going to outshine me. Everybody's going to know I don't know what I'm doing.
But I tell you what I've learned over the last year and a half that's been the greatest equalizer for me. Like, I don't know much. And that's okay. The reason why I am like I am, because there is no ego. Like, I go home to a wife who don't care if I was in the paper. I go home to 2 kids that they don't know daddy, the entrepreneur. They know daddy as like, hey, like I'm gonna sleep next to you at night because there's something in my room, right? And when you don't take yourself that serious, I love being an entrepreneur. I love our team. I love what we're doing for consumers. I love everything that kind of goes with it. But my stake in the ground is not behind Upsie. Like, that's not what wakes me up every morning anymore. It used to, but that actually gets you lost quicker. Like, you get caught up in all the stuff that's happening. Like, my stake in the ground is about being the best person I can be to every person that I meet, being the best man to my wife, being the best dad to my kid, and being the best friend I can to other people. And that's where my stake is. So if Upsie went away today, I'm gonna be fine. Like my whole life is no longer caught up in this business. And what's happened is, because of that, I become a better leader. I become a better listener. I be like all that ego stuff that starts to creep in. It don't creep in with me anymore. It's very much about like, hey, how do we win? And if you have the answers to winning, I want you on my team.
That's it right there. I mean, to be an effective leader, you need to have a team that rallies around you, right? And supports you and wants to see you succeed. And the best way to be that person is to be exactly what you're describing right there, right? Be that authentic person that cares about the people around them, right? People will rally and support you. And you're seeing that. I've seen that when I first came across your business and yourself, maybe a year ago. So it was pretty far into your product journey, right? But you were, through Techstars, you were getting press, you were getting noticed around the community. There was a lot of excitement. You were just kind of starting to do a lot of speaking engagements and kind of pay it forward. Take the lessons you had learned from the other mentors, and you were starting to become that mentor. I know that's one of the things that Kurt and I really wanted to discuss today is, what was that transformation? When did that point happen for you where you decided, I've learned valuable things. I want to give this back now. When did that happen, and what has that been like?
Yeah, so 2-part answer to that. I think that's a great question. Techstars a big developer of that, because their whole program is about give first. So you kind of have to adapt that mind frame in order to even do the program. And two, being a diverse founder, being a Black founder, the numbers speak for themselves. Less than 1% of VC funding goes to African American founders.
Sure.
Like those are like hard facts numbers, right? And what I started to see here in our community was like, oh, okay, like Clarence, people know who you are, but I didn't want people to know me as Clarence the Upsie dude. Right. Like, I wanted Clarence to know me like kind of how you got to know me. Like, hey, if I ask to do something, he's going to answer me. If I reach out, he's going to reach back. And like, I wanted people to be like, he's just a great guy. And then the business stuff would just kind of take care of itself. Like, so I got mentored by a former Fortune 500 CEO for about 9 years. And the biggest lesson I learned was that everything that he did in every situation he put me in was about my development as a person. It wasn't about development as a businessman. Like that's just the nature we were playing in and the field we were playing in. But as a person, like this is who you need to be as a person. I watched, really good friends of mine who were like great fathers. So I grew up in like a broken home. Dad beat the crap out of my mom for the first 15 years of my life. Like it was just broken, right? Drugs, alcohol, all of that stuff. Like I had to learn how to be a good man and how to be a good father and how to be a good friend, because I didn't see those things growing up. And so I had these people throughout the last 5 or 6 years that I would look at. Like I got a friend, he was a former General Mills guy, like high C-suite guy, awesome. And I just watched how he treated his wife, and I watched how he treated his family, and how like it wasn't about the money. He had all the money in the world. It wasn't about that. It was about these moments that happened throughout the week. It was waking up on a Saturday morning, the kid run and jump on the bed with them, like which are funny because these are moments I'm having right now in my life, and I think back to like, wow, I never thought I would have these moments ever because of how I grew up. So like to me, mentorship is about like I need to show people. Like, forget the business. I need to show people, like, this is how you are as a person. If you do these things right as a person, the business stuff will take care of itself. Yeah. Because good things happen to good people, I believe.
To your point of earlier, when you were telling the story about the woman who called you, who had the issues with the warranty, I think to be a good leader, you also have to be a good storyteller, because you can't just go to your team and be like, I just got a great call. Somebody's really happy with our warranty system. Right. You really got to get that to seep into the culture when you have those moments, right? Yep. How do you approach that when you hear those things, you have those moments, you have those wins, or even the failures or the negatives or the learning experiences? What are ways that you've learned to seep that back into your team and have them learn from that and get excited about it, or get excited to learn from this?
Right. I think it's first about just like letting them know everything that happens in this company is going to be open, right? Like we're going to be open. So good, bad, or ugly, our team knows about it. And when you create an environment that's open, like people actually tell you things, right? Like, so like you'll figure out when an employee is like on the edge, like you'll figure that out because that employee will come to you and say, hey man, like this is where I'm struggling. Internally from a culture standpoint, we're always talking about grace, right? I believe grace is the single most important word for our business, is because everything we do is about grace. When you break your smartphone and you can't be connected to the world, right? Like that claim and that moment, how you broke your phone, actually doesn't matter. We need to have enough grace to just say, hey, you know what? You need to get back into your device. And we also talk about it internally. We talk about like a developer will mess up on something. Like you have to show that person grace. Yeah. Like, it's not the end of the world. The system hasn't gone down. Show them grace, right? And you get to those moments in business where it's easy for me. It would be easy for me to say, like, you fucked up. Right. You know what I mean? Like, I don't think I've ever said that to our team. Like, there's always, oh, okay, you know what? A mistake. Let's move on. Like, I'll give you a perfect example. We're launching a new website soon. It's going to be awesome, by the way. So everybody go check it out. All right.
Upsie.com.
Upsie.com. And we were so excited about launching the site, and we didn't really do like the checks we should have been doing on the site, right? So we did the basic stuff, right?
Run into the finish line, though, right?
Yeah, we just like it's been 8 months of just running hard, right? And development team is tired. The operations team is tired. Like everybody's just so tired. There's only 8 of us, right? So everybody's just tired. Right. Let's launch the damn thing.
Yeah, let's just get it done.
We press the button. we have our walkout music from Demo Day come on. Like we do the whole celebration thing, right? And it was a really cool moment, right? Because we're all taking selfie, like launch a new site, and we're just waiting for it to flip over for customers, right? Mm-hmm. And it flips over for me. I'm at my desk, and I'm like, you know what? I'm just gonna go through and do some checks myself, right? Before too many people
go and buy something.
And so I go in and check, and I'm getting ready to check out, and the word says it's supposed to say assess, and it says asset.
Oh, right.
And it was supposed to be easily, but it was like easily without the I.
Oh,
and so I see it. And we're like, in my mind, I'm like, we're all so excited right now. Like, I could just
you could just go in and be like, everybody back to your desks.
Yeah, right. And I'm like, I'm sitting there and I turn around and I'm like, hey guys, like, do you guys understand it says like easily without an I and asset instead of assess? And so I'm like, all right, take it down. Take the site down, put the old one back up. Mm-hmm. I said, we got work to do, right?
Yep.
And I remember everybody's like, I can tell everybody was so hyped.
Yeah.
Then I deflated everybody. I knew I did.
Yeah.
And so the next day I come in, I'm like, hey guys, like we all need to grab a room and we need to hammer through this page by page.
Yep.
And like, we don't have like the typical like testing that normally have. So like we do that ourselves. Mm-hmm. Right. And so we sit in the room, and before I talk about the site, I said, guys, you know what? Like, this was 100% my fault. I said, I'm just going to take all the blame for this one. I said, there should have been a process in place for us to do this the right way. And like, I failed you guys by not doing that. Mm-hmm. And you could see the weight pick up off of everybody, because it was like, he's taking responsibility for all this. So like, okay, cool. So now we can go into this like with an open mind, versus I knew everybody walked in the room kind of tense because they like, oh, we messed up. Right. And I was like,
we're in trouble.
Yeah. I'm like, no, it's my fault, man. Like, I'll take the blame. Let's get to work on this, da-da-da. And I could see the rest of the day, people were just like, wow, like, this is why I came worked here, right? Because like, he just took all the pressure off of us and put it on himself. Yeah. And now the team is executing, and we're going to launch on Thursday, right?
That's awesome.
Like, to me, that's what mentorship and leadership is
absolutely
about.
Yeah. Great leaders create the next generation great leaders, right? Yep. You're going to see a lot of people that currently work for you one day being a great leader, right?
I hope so.
With a team of 8, you're probably all leaders right now, right? I mean, when you're a team of 8, everybody owns what they own, right? And so, but you're supportive of that.
So that's internally. So let's talk about what you're doing externally. So we're here at Foundry, and we're excited about the Blacks in Tech conference coming up, and we're going to be a part of that. And we're excited about that. Can you talk about your involvement and how you've been supportive of that? And what you're looking to get out of, what you're hoping for it.
Right. Yeah. So I actually haven't been like in an official capacity, like a part of Black in Tech. Sharon, CIO for St. Paul, phenomenal woman, like one of the smartest women I've ever been around, or smartest people, forget women, one of the smartest people. And so she's been spearheading this, with the group in San Diego. And for me, I guess it's really interesting to bring that conference here to Minneapolis, which I think was the best thing for those guys to do. Like, we're like one of the most open states. Like, people here, like a bunch of white people gonna run to the conference just like black people, right? Yeah. And I'm like, that's pretty cool, right? And in Minnesota, people will like be engaged with this kind of conference versus it being Silicon Valley and 100 people showing up, right?
Right.
So like, my part in this whole thing is just be the biggest advocate, the biggest voice. Whenever Sharon asks me to do something, I try to do it as quickly as possible, because you don't want to see Sharon mad.
No, I can imagine.
Just be a supporter, right? Like I think the great fortune that I've had in our community is there's not many Black founders. Mm-hmm. I've kind of rose to the level of like, we know Clarence, we know what he's about, we know who he is.
Right.
So I'm hoping to use that platform to have more real conversations behind diversity, behind inclusion, behind what it's like to be a diverse founder. And you'll be amazed at how many of my buddies who are just like white dudes running companies. They don't have my perspective on things. And when you tell it to them, they're like, wow, I didn't even know like that side existed. So I'm just trying to use the platform like to help the conference push forward and to get more like you guys there. So like, because I think it's just as important to have you guys there as it is to have all the Black people in town there.
Well, that's what I found, and I just wrote an article for Minnesota Business Monthly about don't wait for an invite
Right.
to be a part of these groups. Right? If
Right.
you're